Government-owned BSNL has rarely commanded headline space in newspaper media over the past few years. But the time between July and October of 2024 was different for BSNL. It actually added to its subscriber count by 7 million. But November again saw a reversal of fortunes for Reliance Jio. It started adding to subscriber count after a few months of seeing a decline. Where does this leave the telecom industry? Where do Airtel and Vodafone-Idea stand? And what does this mean to you as a subscriber? Hello and welcome back to Business Matters at the Hindu with me, K. Bharat Kumar. After adding 7 million subscribers over a 4-month period ended October of last year, BSNL again started losing subscribers. This time it lost about 3.5 lakh for the period of November 2024. The chart on your screens tells us how subscriber counts have behaved for various players. The November 2024 data from the regulator TRAI tells us that Reliance still rules the roost in terms of total subscriber count, standing at 461 million. In November, it gained about 1.2 million subscribers, while the other three continued to lose subscribers. Bharti Airtel lost more than 1 million, Vodafone-Idea lost about 1.5 million. You may recall that in 2016, Reliance Jio burst onto the scene with unlimited free calls and only data being charged for. This caused anxiety among its competitors because the one big concern that came to the fore for them was average revenue per user, because they too had to cut tariffs or prices, and because of which they started making lesser money per user than they did earlier. Last year, starting July, all these private players, Reliance Jio, Bharti Airtel and Vodafone-Idea, increased their tariffs. And sure enough, it started reflecting in subscriber count. People started moving away, especially at the lower end of the spectrum. Reliance Jio lost close to 8 million subscribers in August 2024 and about 4 million in September, followed by a loss of 3.8 million subscribers in October. This trend lasted all of 4 months. BSNL stood to gain when private players increased their tariffs and started losing subscribers, but BSNL itself had been battling service quality issues. Plus, its 4G rollout is still not complete. Only a few key cities and metros have 4G services available from BSNL. All these have been a dampener to its aspirations. Competitors to Reliance Jio have long held that prices, or tariffs as companies call them, have remained absurdly low in India. Gopal Vittal, Vice Chairman and MD of Bharti Airtel, has time and again called for higher tariffs. Last year, after all the private players increased their tariffs, and with some plans going up by as much as 25%, even after that happened, Mr. Vittal has been quoted in the media as saying the tariffs still needed to go up from about 200 rupees average revenue per user for the sector to about 300 rupees. Even then, he points out that India would be among the countries that offered the lowest average revenue per user. Vodafone's average revenue per user is lower than that for Jio or Airtel. Vodafone's recently rose to 166 rupees for the quarter ended September 2024 compared with rupees 149 a year earlier. Bharti Airtel's ARPU was rupees 233 in the same period compared with rupees 204 a year earlier. Reliance Jio's crossed rupees 200 for the first time for the quarter ended December 2024. One of the focus areas for most of these companies is to do away with base plans. Like, we had a very inexpensive plan for a senior citizen at home, but we wanted one more feature, which means we'd have to change the plan. So of course the telecom service provider for us was very happy to execute the change, but when I asked them if I wasn't happy with the change and wanted to come back, did I have an option? They said the plan that they were offering us right now did not exist for new users. So once I left the plan, there was no coming back. The flip side to that is that the regulatory authority has asked telecom firms to offer voice-only plans. That would suit most folks who do not want data, such as senior citizens who use mobiles for voice calls or for SMSs to receive OTPs from banks, etc. to authorize transactions. Even there, the authority has asked companies to drop prices. In some instances, such base plan prices have dipped by about 8%. One issue that has been plaguing the telecom sector in India for quite some time is that of dues related to AGR, or adjusted gross revenue. Originally, the government had calculated AGR including revenue from non-telecom services provided. So the sector had a problem with that. They went to court saying, why should any income from non-telecom services be included in such revenue calculation? But the courts had put their foot down and said the verdicts are all in favor of the government. This came as a double whammy to incumbents after Jio launched services offering data plans with free voice services. Airtel has emerged from this ordeal in better shape than Vodafone-Idea. At one point, Vodafone-Idea chairman Kumar Mangalam Birla had said that he was ready to give up his own holdings of the company to the government if it meant saving the firm. Vodafone-Idea was in such dire straits that the government had to step in and say, okay, all the dues that you owe us, we can cover a portion of that, indicated as debt converted to equity. So the government actually holds stake in the company. Last year, the company came out with a follow-on public offer, which helped it raise about 18,000 crores. So the good news for the company is it has some funds at its disposal right now. Second, only about 61% of its total subscriber base is now availing of 4G services from Vodafone-Idea. So it has headroom to grow. So when people switch from a lower stage of technology to 4G, there is an opportunity for the company to increase the revenue it makes from that user. So as a subscriber, what can you expect? The one thing for sure that we can expect is another increase in tariffs this year. Players among the private ones have indicated that you can expect at least a 10% increase in tariffs this year, 2025. Especially, this will happen if you move from one plan to another. Earlier, the move wouldn't cost you as much. Now, it would cost you more. The other question is, when users move from 4G technology into 5G, will it help companies realize more revenue? Can they increase tariffs for this? Currently, all private players in India offer 5G services at the price of 4G. But the thing is, right now, only the speeds are different for 4G and 5G technologies. Like that would be of interest to a commercial entity. Like, for example, this has been demonstrated in China, where a surgeon in a particular hospital in a particular city uses 5G services to operate a robotic arm in a hospital a couple of thousand kilometers away and conducts the surgery successfully. Because you cannot have a lag in telecom signal when you're trying to instruct the robotic arm, which is doing the operation. So there 5G would matter, and there are such use cases for industry. Whether it will significantly increase the quality of life for a retail user like you and me is a matter of opinion now. So if you wanted to offer 5G technology, will you pay more? We don't know yet. One question I get asked a lot is, which telecom service provider should a person choose? There is no one direct answer to that question. The answer is, it depends. Because at work, wherever you're located for work, one particular telecom service provider might offer better services because of the tower infrastructure in that region. And it may be entirely different at your home. So it doesn't matter which ones you choose from among the private ones. With BSNL, you should include it in your options to choose from only if it offers 4G services in the city that you live in. As an aside, it's interesting to note that BSNL has had some lifelines that the government has thrown it in the form of recapitalization packages that have come to a total of rupees 3.22 lakh crore between 2019 and 2023. BSNL currently has about 62,000 towers active on 4G, and it is targeting an installation of 1 lakh towers by the middle of this calendar year. As an anecdote, I can tell you that somebody whom I know started off with one particular service provider that went to the other three. So he's covered all 4 service providers, and he has some complaint to the other in terms of a signal that he's able to receive at different points in the city. So like I said, it doesn't matter whom you choose from. The joke in my family right now is we all should start building houses not based on the old science of Vastu, but depending on where we get telecom signals from. That's all we have in this episode, but don't go away. We do have nuggets of information for you and a quiz question, as we do always. Did you know that the first mobile call was made in India between West Bengal Chief Minister at that time Jyoti Basu in Calcutta to Union Telecom Minister at the time Sukhram in Delhi? This was in July 1995. At the time, making a call could cost you rupees 16 a minute, while receiving a call would have cost you half that much. What does it cost you now per minute? And here's a quiz question for this week. Which company offered the first commercial mobile service to retail users in India? And that brings us to the answer to last week's question, which was, when did the word rupee or rupaya formally appear on Indian currency? It was during Akbar's reign that the word rupiah first appeared in Indian currency. That's all we have for you now in this episode. If you enjoyed what you saw, make sure to click on like, share and subscribe. Until we meet again, have a lovely week ahead.